Let's say we have two political candidates. Smith is polling at 48% of the vote and Jones is polling at 45%. In this example, Smith has a 3-point advantage in the poll, suggesting they are favored to win the election. But every political poll has a margin of error. Sometimes the margin of error is reported by the media. Other times, it's up to readers or viewers to research the margin of error on their own, possibly by visiting the pollster's website. So let's say the margin of error for this poll is 4 points. These points apply to each candidate's support numbers. To apply the margin to the poll's results, simply add and subtract the margin to and from each candidate's polling number. According to the poll, Smith's actual support falls somewhere between 44 and 52%, and Jones's support falls somewhere between 41 and 49%. But how does this translate to Smith's 3-point lead in the poll? To apply the margin of error to Smith's lead in the poll, you first have to double the stated margin of error. This is because any error in Smith's support is likely to be offset by an inverse error in Jones's support, and vice versa. In this example, the 4-point margin of error becomes an 8-point margin of error when calculating Smith's lead. Next, you take the doubled error margin and add it to and subtract it from Smith's lead. In this example, we would first add the 8-point margin of error to the lead, meaning Smith's actual lead in the poll could be as high as 11 points, putting them even further ahead than the published poll suggests. But the margin of error works equally in the opposite direction as well. So to understand the margin of error's full impact on the poll, we must also subtract those same 8 points from Smith's lead, resulting in a -5, which actually translates to a 5-point lead for Jones. When including the poll's margin of error, the actual result of Smith's 48 to 45% lead over Jones is that Smith could be 5 points behind Jones or 11 points ahead of them, or anywhere in between. The 3-point lead the pollster released in this polling result simply illustrates the midpoint of the data relative to the margin of error. And here's where the friction increases between pollsters and the public. Regardless of which candidate actually wins, pollsters claim victory as long as the final result fell within the poll's margin of error. So when you hear or read that political polls are an accurate metric of voter sentiments, keep in mind that statement allows for a margin of error that typically falls somewhere between 3 and 5 points, and largely disregards the actual winner of an election.